Good evening and welcome to this cloudy, sunny afternoon at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya for the second instalment of the iFormula race league. The southeast coast of France here today. We join you from the alternative historic configuration, which removes the final chicane and the hairpin to improve track speeds. So this includes turn 9 as well, is using the outer moto layout, which we'll see in just a second here. However, it creates, I suppose, different kind of racing opportunities and can be a little bit more interesting as well. We have 12 corners today, 4 to the left and 8 to the right around this 2.91 mile circuit here today. Presented by Team Goon Squad on behalf of myself, Finney Fitzsimmons, from Team Goon Squad, 1080p, 60 frames a second, as always. As we're now watching the beginning of qualifying here for the Barcelona Grand Prix, I'm very excited to see what this will entail for some of our drivers. As we're now watching Paul Ayala as he makes his way around the last corner for the beginning of his first time lap here today, as James Potts puts down the first time of the day, led by Alex Johnson with a 1:33.6. However, the tyre warm-up at this track is very long. It takes a couple laps for the tyres to come up to temperature, and it will be around about 2 to 4 laps until we see some proper representative times on the board here today. However, Johnson's setting the timing board for now, which is 1/10 quicker than James Potts. It's a 25-minute qualifying session here today. As always, just quite a long qualifying session as terms of qualifying goes. Gives the opportunity for all the drivers to set a representative lap time if they mess up the qualifying runs, because we all know it takes so long for the tyres to warm up. You won't get many opportunities, especially with the 8-minute qualifying. You only get 2 laps usually. However, with this 25-minute qualifying, you have all the time you need to set the lap time that you want to get into that grid position for the feature race, in which that will be 26 laps here today at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, with a 7-lap sprint race after that with the reverse top 12. To ride on board through the final sector with Alex Johnson, the current championship leader. Currently have 36 points, 7 points above Marianne Barberou in the championship coming into round 2 here today. Still very early days. However, if it does go down to the wire at the end of the season, every point does matter. Making our way out of the final corner now. What will the time be for his second time lap? A 1:32.538. Or the number 196. A 1:33.5 is a very representative lap time. That's kind of what we're seeing, kind of in the ballpark of the quickest laps here today. However, we might expect him to improve on the next 2 or 3 laps or so. Turn 3 looks like a very easy corner from the perspective of watching the drivers. However, it's very hard to balance the grips. It's very easy to scrub the front tyres through this first sector and overheat the surface of the compound of the tyre, which will negatively impact the rest of the race. Here you want a later turning coming into turn 5. Mounting the curve on the inside does mean you don't quite get the turn in. As you leave it a little bit longer, you can get a better turn in into turn 5. Now coming towards turn 6 and 7, carrying the most amount of speed possible, avoiding a yellow social curve on the right hand side of turn 7. Coming up the hill towards turn 8 now. And very quick right-hander going up the hill. Being careful not to abuse the track limits, as if that right tyre goes over the white line, it will be a 1x, will invalidate the lap. Braking just after the gantry, over the top, clipping the apex on the white line on the inside. Coming now into turn 10. Once again, a rear limited corner, carrying the speed is everything through this last sector of the racetrack. As you're now coming through the high speed turn 11 towards turn 12, the final corner, clipping that inside line, using all of the AstroTurf on the left hand side towards the one of the line. We expect him to improve. What will it be this time? A 1:32.4 for the 196 here today. So your top 5 at the moment: Alex Johnson, Jake Potts in second place, followed by James Mallory and Victor Solano, and finally Frederick Hagard Larson, rounding out your top 5 for the moment. Your top 3 separated by not a whole lot there. You can see James Mallory only a little bit behind Jake Potts, only just under 200ths of a second. A very short gap. As you can see on our track map, we have quite a lot of drivers out on track today. 22 drivers at the moment have set a representative lap time on the board. However, there are still a fair amount of drivers that haven't set a lap time just yet. So now watching Alex Johnson round out the final corner once again. Will he improve on his lap time to make it a 132? Maybe into the low 132s. We'll have to wait and see there. It's a 132.479. So just about not improving. As we're now watching Marion Barbaro, currently second place, 7 points behind Alex Johnson in the championship. He's going to ride on board with him now, coming towards turn 9. Looks like he's going very, very easy on the brakes. He may be on an outlap here today, or one of the warm-up laps, prepping for 1 or 2 fast laps at the end of the qualifying run. Frederick Larson improves to second place, just under 0.4 of a second behind Alex Johnson. It looks like the two teammates are setting up for a run down the main straight. Going to set up a tow. Here comes the beginning of the lap for Marion Barbaro. Following together. It looks like he doesn't pull out of the way just yet, so they may be on another warm-up lap, or they may be trying to tow around the whole circuit. Still very early days in this qualifying session. 10 minutes gone, 15 minutes to go. The order could shake up a fair amount. However, most of our drivers are out on track so far. Only a handful of drivers in the pit lane as it stands. Making our way through turns 1 and 2. One more with Justin Basori as he makes his way round around turn 3 towards turn 4. A very tricky braking zone to get right. It's carrying the speed. Does mean everything, however, on the exit it becomes very, very rear limited. We see a lot of drivers kicking out the rear ends coming towards turn 5. It looks like Basori is able to keep it all in one piece for now. Making our way around turn 8. Goes for a little bit too much of a brake there, going down a gear. Not carrying quite as much speed as he could have done to compromise his run all the way down that back straight towards turn 9. Coming out of turn 9 now, another rear limited corner towards the most rear limited corner of the track of turn 10. Goes out wide, cuts it in for a late apex, pushing it out wide as far as he can onto the AstroTurf on the left hand side. Coming round towards turn 11 and turn 12 now. Where will his time put him on the board? He looks quick. Will it be inside of the top 10? He crossed the line, goes 21st place. Right behind Cuthbert Mabanga. Alex Johnson's back out on track now. The 138.7 is first time lap of the run. Going towards turn 1. Will he improve on this run? We don't expect him to straight away. However, you can see he's pushing the absolute socks off the 196. Around turn 3, a slight lift, bringing it out wide, bleeding out the speed. Now coming towards turn 4 now. Giving a sharp, quick snap of the wheel, keeping it tight around the apex. Pushing out wide. Not using all of the track on the right hand side now, braking towards turn 5. Using the curve on the inside, pushing it all of the limits on the right hand side, getting all the way up to the gravel. Towards turn 6s and 7. Rounding out turn 8, carrying loads of speed there, keeping it in 5th gear all the way around. We can see traffic on the left hand side giving way for our current qualifying leader, as it looks like James Moller gets a time just over 100th of a second slower than Alex Johnson, so he's in the mix as well as Frederick Larson, 4 tenths behind. We saw in practice he was very close to Johnson. Will he be able to replicate that lap time now coming into the qualifying session? Will Johnson improve this time? Don't expect him to, as I said before. Watching Victor Solano make his way around turn 7 towards turn 8. Turn 8 is definitely a corner we see a lot of drivers taking different kind of opportunities, different kind of lines. And it's interesting to see which one will prevail, which one is the quickest. And rounding out turn 10 he has. He made in front of him of Marian Barbaru, who may be giving him a tow down the main straight. Putting in the effort as the team to get the best lap times possible. Will Victor Solano improve on his time and make his way up? Solano doesn't, Kriegsmann does with a 132.7. Another man into the 132s. At the moment, only our top 5 drivers have been able to make it into the 132s here today, so we're going to plot up in just a second. Looks like Alex Johnson sets an even quicker lap time there. A 132.253, quicker than we've seen in practice. You can see now coming towards the tail end of the qualifying session, Johnson is turning up the heat. That 196 car getting very, very hot, as it looks like he uses all of the track on the outside. That may have been a 1x there as he dips into the gravel as he makes his way through turn 6 and 7, using every single inch of that track towards the yellow sausage curb. If you do hit it in those Formula 3 cars, it does tend to upset the car a fair amount, as Moller sets a quicker time of 132.442, just under 2 tenths of a second down. As Victor Solano gets into the 132s as well, 9/100ths of a second behind Jake Potts even, excuse me, getting a 132.967. You can see that sort of a top 10 is separated not by a whole amount, each driver only a couple hundredths of a second away from each other, apart from a few exceptions. A lone Swedeman, yes. Looks like the fans are quite happy with that. Swedish driver topping the times at the moment. To an American-dominated field with the lone British driver of Nick Marshall. Number 32 machine, currently in 25th place, the slowest out of the lap time runners. You see Barbaro and Solano working very well together. They'll tear each other down the straights to get as best lap time as possible. Will Solano improve again? Will he be able to get into that top 5 or even the top 3 if his time's good enough? A 1:32.940, not enough to take 5th place, however, 6/100th of a second behind Jake Potts. It looks like Alex Johnson's down pit road, so is Kriegsmann as well. So they've entered their qualifying run. They may go for another one towards the end, we'll have to wait and see. Moller also out at the moment, trying to improve on his lap time in the number 9. Oh, getting very, very close on the inside apex there. The lap traffic not getting quite out of the way as Moller would have wanted. Very, very difficult with the track limits on the exit of turn 8 there. It's very, very easy to get the 1x if that white tyre creeps over the white line on the left hand side. Small across the line. I don't think he was on a hot lap there, so he may not improve this time by. However, he may be turning up the heat this time as Fredrik Larsson improves to a 1:32.7. Really tense down on our current pole sitter. It looks like Alex Johnson is making his way out for his final qualifying run, as Moller is using all of the track on the outside of turn 3 there, using every single inch of track he can to extract the most amount of lap time as he can. Now as the intensity turns up, the pressure even greater on these drivers in the closing moments of the qualifying session. They're using all of the track, pushing as hard as they can to improve their grid position, as now is their last chance to improve. Coming towards turn 6 and 7. Will Moller increase any kind of risk there? He stayed in 4th gear, different to last time. Rounding out turn 8, using all of the track. Oh, that would have been a 1x there. Moller invalidates his lap time, which means this lap time will not be valid towards his qualifying session. In terms of tyre life, he may only have 1 or 2 laps left to set a good time before they start to drop off, which means even more pressure on these last couple laps to improve on his lap time and maybe steal that pole position. He has the pace, he has the ability. Will he be able to hook up a lap? Number 9 rounds the final corner. Will he improve again? Not many drivers on track now. Unfortunately, it looks like Alex Johnson has gone into pit road, so unfortunately I believe that will be the end of his qualifying session. A 1:32.253 is the time to beat for pole position here today. The pressure is on James Mollair to improve on his lap time to maybe sneak his way into that top spot. Is the 32.4 going to be improved on this time by? We'll have to wait and see. So watching James Mollair round out. This probably will be his last lap of the qualifying session with just under a minute to go. Will he steal that top spot from Alex Johnson? Rounding turn 8. How much risk will he choose to take? He stays in 5th gear. He went wide last time. He doesn't this time. He hasn't invalidated his lap time just yet. Coming into the final sector, the rear limited part of the track. Has he saved enough rear tyres to be able to push hard? Oh, he rear slide. Oh no. James Mollair is very, very frustrated, as you can see. Steaming off the track, revving that engine in the gravel. He is furious. You can tell he is not happy about that mistake as he resets into pit road. So it looks like that is your final challenger for pole position. Not quite able to improve his lap time. Barbarou's slowing down on the left-hand side of the track of turn 3. Let's watch Andy Ray Miller make his way out of pit road. I don't believe anyone else is on a hot lap anymore. Ian Rudd is rounding out turn 5, as I believe he won't have time to finish this lap, however. Which means that is your final qualifying order here for tonight. And here's your grid for the round 2 Spanish Grand Prix here today. So Alex Johnson starting on pole position, followed by James Mollair starting 2nd, Frederick Larson starting 3rd, Tico Kriesman starting 4th, Jake Potts running out your top 5, Victor Solano running out your 3rd row of the grid. Marianne Barbarou, your 2nd place in the championship at the moment. 7/10 down, Alex Johnson, his championship rival. In 7th place, Joachim Flubman starting 8th, Andy Ray Miller starting 9th, Patrick Olsen starting 10th. Denny O'Keefe is starting 11th. Paul Ayala starting 12th on the grid today. Alex Goodneck starting 11th. Frank Beezer starting 14th. Jacob Beezer. The Beezers coming out in force. And 14th and 15th both together in the 93. 1.3 seconds off our lead in 15th place. Ted Koeman starting 16th. Justin Pasori starting 17th. John Journey starting 18th. Jacob Szymanski starting 19th. Ian Ruz starting 20th. Arturo Mayorga starting 21st, Hajima Alberg starting 22nd, Cuthbert Babanga in 23rd, Eric Magnussen 24th place, Nick Marshall starting 25th, Abdul Samad Aliyu starting 26th, Tristan Marshall starting 27th, Randolph Smith in 28th, and running out the grid, Josh Schroeder 29th here today in the 73. As I'm waiting for our drivers to make their way onto the grid here today for the beginning of the race. I'm surely going to be excited for this one. With just 30 seconds to go before the lights come out. Who will come out of turn 1 first? Who will get the better start? It's slightly easier, I would say, to start these Formula 3 cars. However, there is an art to it. Do you use clutch? Do you use the gears? There are a couple of start techniques these drivers can use. You can see, you can hear a lot of gear changes there from our drivers. As now the lights are on. The time is ticking down. It's 5 red lights. And the lights are out. And it's go time here for round 2 of the Spanish Grand Prix. Alex Johnson cuts across. James Mollair goes to the outside line towards turn 1. They're squabbling up behind. Who will come out of turn 1 first? It's Johnson on the inside line. Mollair on the outside. So it looks like Larson's looking to make it 3 wide into turn 1. It's 3 wide for 5th place behind. However, your top 3 remains the same. Johnson, Mollair, Larson, Kriegsmann and Solana your top 5. Barbarou's up 1 spot into P6. As there's drama now. Loads of action coming towards turn 3. Alex Johnson stays ahead as there's battles up behind. Andy Ray Miller's in a little bit of a battle here with Goodneck and Olsen out in front. Goodneck and Olsen going 2 wide now into turn 5. Who will come out ahead? Looks like Goodner comes out ahead. And also Olsen steams past. Andy Ray Miller behind is looking to maybe capitalise on it. Or not, he chooses to stay behind. The warm-up process on these tyres, as I mentioned in qualifying, is quite long. And it does take a hot minute for these tyres to come up to temperature. A couple laps, so you can see Andy Ray Miller was not quite anticipating the cold tyres as much as he bleeds out wide and has to lift off the throttle in order to make it round. Although Alex Johnson has pulled a 5/10 lead over James Mollair, making our way round turn 10 to end out the final lap. It is some moving about going behind. It looks like Eric Magnussen's off into the gravel. Eric Magnussen's gone down to 27, so it looks like Mabanga's also coming up behind him in 28th place. And who's that going into the pit lane? It looks like that was Jeff Schroeder, who was up 10 spots from where he started. It looks like he may have had a start infringement or a black flag of some kind that's forced him to come down pit road. I'm not quite sure what happened. Whether there's even more. Oh, who's that who's gone round? As Goodneck has gone round. There's massive, massive crashes here on lap 2. And there's even more contact. Drivers coming into contact with the drivers that have come off the track. As now there's even more drivers coming through. Drama on lap 2 here. We thought it was over. We thought we saw all of it in lap 1. No. Looks like everybody was able to keep their cars running. However, only driver down pit road at the moment, Jacob Beezer. Unfortunately, I think he will be out of this race if he doesn't choose to rejoin. Now 1/10 of a second, or 1 second between our leads at the moment. So Alex Johnson's pulling out that gap. However, there's a battle starting to spew here. As we're on board with Jake Potts here, the American 41 machine, as he's tucking into the draft train here. Solano and Barbaru still together. Both of them are one spot from where they started. Solano trailing Barbaru. As Alex Johnson says the fastest lap of the race at 1:33.2, 3/10 quicker than James Mollair last time by, extending that gap beyond a second, so the draft will no longer be there. As we're now watching Potts as he looks down the inside of Solano. Unfortunately, he's a little bit too far back to make a move this time by. However, the battle still isn't over as we go back on board with Jake Potts. He's maybe taking a look down the inside of turn 4. Once again, not quite close enough to make the move. As Barber is now coming up behind Frederick Larson for 4th place. This is the battle for. It looks like Frederick Larson is able to defend the inside line there. Barbaru not quite able to get behind to turn 9. However, he's still behind him, and if he keeps this gap the same, he will have an opportunity down into turn 1. As they round out the final 2 corners, the improved sector of the racetrack. Special to the historic layout of Barcelona. As here comes Barbaru. He takes the draft. He pulls off to the left-hand side. He's going to go round the outside into turn 1. Who will come out in front? Frederick Larson on the inside line, able to carry more speed on the mid-apex. And Barbaru has to settle back down for 5th place. So Solano's all over. Get Good Racing, both having a decent turnout there. 4th and 5th at the moment. They're in a good position as it stands. However, Barbaru wants to make his way up, and Solano is able to keep straight with him. Drives are starting to spread out a little bit more now. The gap's getting bigger and bigger. James Moller 2 seconds now trailing Alex Johnson. Alex Johnson's pulling out that gap nice and early. However, rear tyre management is a massive thing at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. There is a lot of rear limited corners here at this track, which means if you do not manage those rear tyres and you scrub them around too much, it could prove massive issues coming towards the end of the race. As 26 laps is a lot to keep onto those rear tyres. If you slide them around, the temperature will go up and up and up, and you just won't be able to keep control of them. The car will not want to turn in and will oversteer a lot. However, Get Good Racing doing a good job at the moment. Alleged team orders for Solano to stay behind Barbaru and trail him, as Barbaru is in front in the championship at the moment. But I'm sure Solano does not lack any pace. He may be quick, he may have the pace to overtake, but that is the strategy at Get Good Racing, to stay behind and attack Larson together as a team to get past them both at the same time. Now at the moment, your hard charger Tristan Marshall, currently up 11 spots from where he began. Started P27, he's now into P16. The 114 is doing a great job at the moment, making his way up those positions, gaining the points which he needs in order to get into the points. As the battle is still on, James Moller now 2.7 seconds behind Alex Johnson, showing us how it's done once again. The Swedish driver showing his dominance so far in this series. It's only round 2, but I think we have a very serious driver to contend with here. Setting a 132.9 last time by, compared to the 33.3 of James Moller. Back to Barbaru as he's closing that gap towards Larson. However, he's not quite close enough this lap. Maybe should have moved into turn 1. Has to settle up to stay behind at the moment. However, this battle I'm sure will go on for a very long time, as the gap now comes down to 0.3 of a second towards turn 4. Once again, obviously not quite far back enough, or quite close enough, excuse me, to make the move stick, as it looks like there's some kind of battling going on behind, as Jess Schroeder is in a three-way battle here for P19, David Magnussen and Marshall Newton. Excuse me, Nick Marshall, excuse me. Getting people mixed up, that was from another league. As it looks like Josh Schroeder goes down the inside of Koeman. Nick Marshall making up both those positions. P20 at the moment, the lone British driver here tonight for Wolfpack Racing. Still doing a good job himself at 5 spots from where he began. 25th he qualified, he's now up into P20. Now you've got to think, what is James Moller thinking? Is he trying to hold back, save his tyres and push later on? Or is he going to push a little bit more and try and gain that gap back on Alex Johnson? What is his strategy here for this race? Does he think he can catch him? 3 seconds the gap is now after lap 7. I think it could be possible. However, it would have to include some strategy. Some smart strategy to maybe closing that gap, as I believe there is a mandatory tyre change and a mandatory pit stop here in this league, which means that they'll have to go through that tyre warm-up process. Once again, as the lap traffic gets really loose there on the outside line, just about keeping it on track. However, it does impede Moller just a little bit, as that gap now goes to 3.2 seconds. Will he start to close it down now? Will he start to crank up the heat? Or is this the pace he can show here tonight? As you know from previous races, Alex Johnson is not prone to making mistakes, which means all pace will need to be made up on track and on merit. However, Barbaru is closing even closer to the back of Larson, and Solano right tailing behind him. Frederick Larsen is under pressure from both of the two drivers. So now watching from the gearbox view of Frederick Larsen as he makes his way around turn 12, the final corner. Will Barbary be close enough to make a move into turn 1? No, he won't this time by. Larsen has the straight line speed to stay ahead of the number 13 for now. However, if he makes a mistake in turn 3, there could be an opportunity down to turn 4. As you can hear those tyres screaming for grip. Now lap traffic will come into the scenario. Will there be a little bit of dirty air at play? Nice Johnson stretching the gap. 3.6 seconds it is now. He's doing a great job out in front. Barbary though, 1/10 of a second behind. The gap's closed down. This is his opportunity now. Coming around turn 8. Will he be able to make a move into turn 9 and get a draft down the straight? He's right on that gearbox of Frederick Larsen. Will he dive down the inside? Will he choose the outside? Larsen chooses to defend the inside line coming into turn 9. Barbary says no problem. He goes round the outside. They're neck and neck coming into turn 10. Barbary has that inside line. Frederick Larsen will have the run. Coming out of the corner. Will he be able to make it stick? Yes, he will. Solano sliding into the gravel behind. Now it's a get good racing sandwich for Larsen. Will Barbary defend? Will Solano also be able to get by? As we're on board with Solano. This Barbary is weaving all over the track to try and give Solano the draft. Frederick Larsen is going to be going around the outside into the final, into the first corner, excuse me. He makes a move round the outside. Barbary not quite able to defend. Larsen back ahead, back into P4. The battle is cranking up here. Three-way. However, they keep battling. Olsen will be back into the mix. He's only 1.7 seconds behind. He may be able to shape his way up in, as it looks like Solano looks down the inside of Barbary. Can't get the move stick, or maybe he's still been told through team orders that he isn't quite allowed, really, to get past. Rounding out turn 8, will we have round 2? Barbary sitting behind. Does he have the draft coming into turn 9? I don't think he'll have enough. Not this time by, however, you can see he's all over that gearbox of Larsen. Surely that's got to see you at some point if all you see is Barbary in your rearview mirrors. That's got to somehow distract you, unless Larsen is keeping nice and cool, not panicking under pressure, keeping that heart rate down. Try and not make a mistake and give Barbary an easy overtake. However, Barbary will maybe have a run into turn 1. However, 3/10 of the gap at the moment. It is coming down slowly, but I don't think it will be enough. It will be close though. Larsen chooses to defend the outside, in the inside line. Barbary switches to the outside. Larsen's better on the brakes. However, Larsen's compromised his run into turn 3. Barbary is all over the gearbox. Barbary has a tighter line through turn 3. Now towards turn 4. Barbary has that inside line. Once again, who will be last on the brakes? Looks like Larsen on the outside line is a little bit later. He's carrying the speed round the outside. Barbary has the shorter run though on the inside. They're now too wide coming into turn 5. Larsen locking up the brakes there, giving absolutely everything. Battle ensues towards turn 6 now. Larsen still ahead of Barbary, the number 13. All over the back of Larsen in the number 7. Solano has a front row seat. All the action is going on here for the battle for P4 at the moment. Larsen is starting to look a little bit weak, and if he keeps pushing and locking up those tyres into braking zones, that's going to increase his tyre temperature. They just won't last as long. Barbary may be trying to play his time just a little bit. And wait for the perfect moment to strike as Solano is coming up to behind a Barbary, but I think he will stay behind, maxing out the rev limiter there of that Dallara Formula 3 car. There isn't moved into turn 1, however, Kriegsmann is also coming up to the back of James Moller. The battle for second is starting to shape up now as well, as Moller is dropping off the pace. 6 seconds Alex Johnson has the lead over at the moment, as he's lapping 8 tenths quicker than Moller at the moment. Nico Kriegsmann into turn 6. Will he take a better line? Will he be able to close that gap? May he get a draft down the back straight towards turn 9? Looks like he's a little bit too far back for now. 3 tenths is coming down into turn 9. However, we're going to go back to our battle. Barbary still trying to get past Larson. The gap's a little bit bigger this time round. However, it looks like Larson made a little bit of a mistake there coming into turn 9. The battle is still back on. Barbary on the outside line this time. You can see Frederick Larson was able to carry more speed this time, but it looks like Barbary switches back down to the inside line. Maybe going for a switchback, but he switches back down behind. It looks like Solano's made a mistake. Solano is down spots. He's in the grass on the left-hand side. He has not had a very good evening so far. He was looking so good for the team. However, Get Good Racing, one of their cars is out at the moment. Will he be able to go back on track? Barbary looks for the inside. Oh, very, very close there. Barbary taking a very, very dirty peek there. However, once again, not able to get past. Tries to throw Larson off his line, but Larson cannot be scared off that racing line. He's doing a brilliant job so far. Frederick Larson has a 7/10 gap at the moment to Barbary, so it looks like that isn't the main battle at the moment. I'm going to switch back to Tico Kriegsmann, who's all over the back of James Moller at the moment. 2 tenths the gap coming into turn 10. Kriegsmann's turned up the heat now. He now looks like he has pace over James Moller, but will he be able to get by coming into turn 1 this time? Looks like Moller chooses to defend that inside line, trying to break the draft from Kriegsmann. Kriegsmann's getting closer, once again all over the bumper of James Moller. However, Moller stays ahead. There's Nick Marshall on the inside line, giving way to the lap up traffic, as this is now the closest battle on track. Kriegsmann going all over the back of James Moller. Will Moller look in his mirrors and feel the pressure from Kriegsmann behind? Will he force him into a mistake? We'll have to wait and see. That gap is getting smaller and smaller. The intensity creeps up as we reach the halfway mark in this 26 lap Grand Prix. We've been racing for 20 minutes and we've had our fair share of battle, as it looks like a couple of drivers have gone down pit road. Arturo Mayorga, Tristan Marshall and Justin Passori going down the pit road. Our first drivers to dive into the pit lane so far. As it looks like Kriegsmann's dropped a little bit behind now. 6 tenths it is. So for the time being, Mallory will have the advantage. A little bit of breathing space does that number 9 so far. Five tenths the gap at the moment. We're going to go back on board with Tico Kriegsmann and go for a lap around the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya as he chases James Moller. securing round turn 3. Very, very easy to bleed out wide, especially with the extra speed from the slipstream and a little bit of dirty air. However, he keeps it nice and square, coming into turn 5. Braking lightly, carrying the speed into the apex, keeping that minimum speed up, but also not pushing too hard on the exit to scrub the rear tyres. He keeps it in check this time. As it looks like there's more lap traffic off to the right hand side. Not quite sure who that was there, however we're going to stay back on board into 3rd gear for turn 6. Being careful of that special curve on the right hand side, however that lap traffic seems to have affected Kriegman a little bit, and the gap is now 1.1 seconds, so he's no longer in the draft. Looks like Aliyu is down the inside of Mayorga. Battling into turn 1. Aliyu managed to get ahead. Arturo Mayorga to go on board with him as he may try and shape up back and move into turn 3. He's not close enough this time by. However, it looks like, Aliyu's gone wide into turn 3, or turn 4, excuse me. Battle will be on into turn 5. Who will be last on the brakes? Mayorga has that outside line. Very, very hard battling going on here. Kriegman's closed that gap as well, as it looks like 3 more drivers have gone on pit roads. That's Larson, Olsen and Rudd all choosing to make their pit stop on lap 15 here. O'Keefe up into 5th place. Right on board with Duke Marshall, the lone Britishman in the number 32. In 26th place at the moment. So he's trying to close the gap. Keep the cars in front of him. However, 31 seconds it is at the moment. Jacob Beezer. It was quite a gap at the moment. However, the man of the hour still. I was saying this last race as well, Alex Johnson is really showing us how it's done. The lone Swedishman doing an absolutely sterling job, as he's made no mistakes so far, showing us literally how to drive Barcelona in the most efficient way. It's just incredible. As we pull up our live timing screen, we can see who's made our pit stop so far and who has yet to pit. So Johnson, Moller, Kriegsman and Barbaro haven't gone down pit roads. Looks like O'Keefe's gone down pit lane now. That's another driver that's going down pit road for their final pit stop. Looks like Alberg as well hasn't gone down the pit lane so far. Where I say that, he is. He's down into pit entry. That's his pit stop for the race. So only our top 4, excluding Aliyu, have made their pit stop so far. They've chosen to stay out for the extra lap. Will they go in this time, or will they choose to go in the next lap? It looks like Alex Johnson now has gone down pit lane, as well as Kriegsman and Moller. Kriegsman also going down the pit lane. So is Barbaro. So that's your last drivers now who have gone down pit road. So watching Frederick Larsen makes his way round as he's offset himself from Kriegsman. Oh, excuse me, Barbaro. Will Barbaro come out ahead? Who has the ultimate pace? We'll have to wait and see. Will Frederick Larsen come out ahead? You can see Frederick Larsen pitted on lap 14. So 3 laps to go, crossing the line. Barbarou's on the pit exit. We'll see him in a second on the right hand side. There he is. There's Barbarou. Who will be last on the race coming into turn 1? Does Larson have the run? The battle's on again. Larson round the outside. Barbarou holds that inside line. However, those cold tyres are going to affect Barbarou. Will he be able to keep Larson behind? He is ahead at the moment. The undercut has worked. Oh, Larson there. He wasn't quite expecting Barbarou to slow down so much on those cold tyres through turn 3. Larson has already warmed them up to a certain extent. He's going to be attacking all over Barbarou. Now coming into turn 5, he knows he has the fresher tyres. Or will he choose the outside line? He tries it. Barbarou defends that inside line. However, it looks like Larson may have the run. Going in towards turn 6. All over the rear of that Get Good Racing number 13 car. Barbarou using all of the track here, trying to warm up those tyres as quickly as possible. Chooses to defend the inside line. Larson has shown us that the outside line is possible to stay ahead. Can't quite make it stick this time. Barbarou is still ahead. Been 1 lap since the pit stop now. Will Larson have a run? He's very, very close. As he watched the nose of the number 7. He switches to the outside, then the inside. Barbarou can't defend him. They're too wide into turn 1. Will Larson have that inside line? Yes, he does. He gets the move done. That's him back up into 4th place. Barbarou down into 5th. As you can see here, who had the best pit stop, as I'm seeing, it's a 6.5 second stop for James Journey. Or for John Journey, excuse me, sorry, I'm getting names mixed up all the time here. So it looks like he has fastest pit stop at the moment with a 6.5 second stop, so a good job from him and his pit crew to get that car out in good time. However, Patrick Olsen is now catching up to the back of Joachim Flugman. The other Swedishman in this race looking to pick up positions and improve the points he can receive from this race. Banana teammates battling for 6th and 7th place here. 5/10 it is at the moment on lap 19 of 26. He's getting very close to the back of Mayorga. Can't quite make it work this time. Tristan Marshall has to stay behind in the 114. However, I think he's being very patient. He's waiting for the opportunity to arise to try and get past Mayorga. However, he didn't take quite the optimal line into turn 10, and that gap does increase just a little bit. As we're looking back though, Ian Rudd is all over the back of Danny O'Keefe. The Irishman defending the Canadian. Coming into turn 4 now, through turn 3. Who will stay ahead? Will Rudd be able to make a move? He's a little bit too far back this time, I believe. Items to gap currently. However, there's also the battle behind. Victor Solano, after making that mistake earlier on in the race, is making his way back up the grid. In the number 99, the American pushing hard to get past Potts. Oh, you can see that dirty air and the extra speed not helping him there through turn 8, nearly going up wide into the gravel. Fortunately, keeping it in one piece. Takes a slightly better line than Potts coming into turn 9, so the gap is coming back down again. Through turn 10, you have to be very patient on power there and not touch that inside curb, as he does, nearly losing the back end, keeping it on the racetrack. A good save from him. However, Potts has stretched that gap ahead. 9/10 it is coming onto the main straight. Going back to Barbary as it looks like a little lap traffic to deal with here. 8/10 the gap between P4 and 5. As the traffic ducks out of the way. Yeah, 100%. I will definitely have to catch a break. Constant action here. Lap 20 of 26, 6 laps remaining, and I still haven't had a break. Battling, going all the way through the race. No time to rest here in the iFormula Formula 3 League. Barcelona putting up a great track, a great venue for a brilliant, brilliant race here today. Drivers still battling out on track. 3 drivers at the moment. Johnson ticking off a 1:33.2. Still setting great lap times in the low 33s. It looks like Moller has also managed to match him last time by. However, 8.5 or 8.8 seconds the gap. I don't think he's been able to close it in 5 laps unless Johnson makes a mistake, which we know is very unlikely from him. However, Barbary set a time 4/100ths of a second quicker than Frederick Larsen, so around about the same pace, these two drivers. 7/10, 6/10 it is coming into turn 3. Barbary's looking to close that gap and maybe, just maybe, have that extra chance on maybe the final lap of the race. Almost have to buy this time and wait for the opportunity to arise. But that time is running out and the chance for an opportunity going down as well. As you ride back on board with Patrick Olsen, who's catching behind Jalkid Floodman. Floodman makes a mistake. Olsen's going to be close here coming into turn 6. I don't think he's going to make the move this time by. However, he's going to make. He's going to stay in behind and maybe we can into turn 9. Oh, as I say that, Johnson with a 1:32.5, an absolutely stonking lap time there. And a 1:96, getting quicker and quicker lap times. Barbary's getting closer and closer now. 3/10 it is. Barbary last time by, so the lap time of 1:33.1. Compared to Larsen's 33.3. He was quicker last time by. Oh, we can see Barbary going all over the back of Larsen there. Will he be able to make a move? Not this time, by. Now watching Vic Solano, who's also very close to Jake Potts in front. 2 battles going on once again. Barbary goes to the outside line, coming into turn 1. Will he be able to make a move this time? He goes out wide this time, goes for the switchback. Larsen slow on the inside line. Barbary has the outside coming into turn 3. Will he go for the switchback once again? He'll go back on board with Barbary. He switches to the outside line. He'll have this line going into turn 5. Larsen's just about ahead. He dives in on the brakes. Barbary's going to go for the switchback. Larsson's close. He's low. He's slow on the exit. Barbaru has the outside line coming into turn 5 now. The battle carries on, maybe towards turn 6. Barbaru has another look. Larsson stays ahead, locking up those tyres once again. Surely at this point, the amount of time Larsson has locked up those tyres, he's turned them into a 50-pence piece. Straight lines all over the surface of that tyre, which will decrease performance and maybe increase some vibrations, making the drive not very comfortable for Larsson for sure. He'll be shaking all over the place. Coming down the straight into turn 9. He's not quite close enough to make a move this time. However, he's going to try and stick behind and maybe make another move into turn 1. However, 5/10 it is now. The gap is starting to close, broaden out just a little bit. However, Barbaru will have that slipstream. Will it be enough to make a move into turn 1? Out of the final corner, will he get a good exit? I think he has, you know. Barbaru is closing on Larsson. Will he be close enough into turn 1? Will he get enough slipstream? He's closing, he's closing. Will he make a dive? He breaks through. However, he tucks back in behind. Larsson able to carry on his racing line, doesn't defend. It looks like Szymanski's VR headset ran out of battery. That's really unfortunate. That is not what you want when you're driving, unfortunately. That is not ideal from the Polish one. The battle still continues. Prix slowly catching back up to the rear end of Mole, sorry. I was looking at something else. James Mole now has a 9/10 advantage over Tico Gutman. Over the battle for 4th place, continuing pretty much the entire length of the race, really. Oh, he's gone wider into turn 3. He's on the AstroTurf. That gap's now going bigger and bigger. We'll have to get a replay on that one there, I think, maybe. Gonna ride on board. It looks like he just got a little bit wide there, got onto the AstroTurf and had to lift. Not ideal. The number 13. Not giving the best. So here on lap 25-26, we only have one more lap to do it. Larsson does go a little bit wide into turn 8, but it's not enough to gain too much time. So this will be his final opportunity. However, Prix is also catching up to the back of Mole. We have 2 battles here on the final lap of the race. The white flag flies for Alex Johnson. The rest of the drivers as they go across the line for the final time at 1:33.3. Who will be, or who will take that second spot on the podium? Friedman catching, he's all over the back of Moller. Will Moller crumble? Will Friedman be able to find some extra pace and get past him on the final lap of the race? Towards turn 1, it is the battle between the European and the North American. It looks like Eric Magnussen's been involved in an incident. We're going to have a look at the replay of that one. Right on board, Eric Magnussen. We'll have to see what happens. So it looks like, he locks up the rear tyres coming into turn 9, rolls it into the gravel. And he has to wait for a bunch of drivers to get by, losing some time. However, we go back to the battle for second place here today. It looks like Barbary is very, very close to the back of Larson. I think Larson has made a mistake and has given Barbary the chance on the final lap of the race to maybe get by. Now coming out of turn 8, will he be close enough? 3/10 the gap now. I don't think he will be quite close enough coming into turn 9 to make a move. He'll have to hope on a mistake from Larson now, otherwise Larson does have the advantage to win. The 4th place here today is Alex Johnson crossed the line to make him a double winner in Season 5 of the iFormula League. However, we're still watching aboard the battle for 4th place. Looks like Moller will come home in 2nd. Kriegsmann's made a mistake. Oh, lap traffic! Barbary's hit on the final corner of the race, causing absolute mayhem. Who's that that's just got by? That's Mabanga. Floodman's coming back now. Will Floodman be able to get by? Will lose a position. Barbary's going slowly. Floodman goes to the right hand side of the track. It's a photo finish. Barbary just about stays ahead. Barbary rounds out your top 5, and that was nearly absolute heartbreak for Barbary there. Fortunate for him, he was not affected by the incident in terms of track position, but I'm sure the floodgates just opened for Floodman and was just about unable to get by. As John Journey and Schroeder cross the line to round out 11th, or correction, 12th and 13th place. As the rest of the drivers are crossing the line now for what was an absolutely sensational race here today. Brilliant, brilliant action. Wow, wow, wow. Alex Johnson will be very, very happy with that result, making him a double Grand Prix winner here today. The 196 coming out in force, extending his lead in the front of the championship. Barbary in 2nd place, dropped down to 5th in this race here today. So not quite ideal for that result, as he makes his way around into pit road to waiting for our final drives to cross the line. Just waiting for Jake Potts to make his way around until we can pull out our final race results. Very, very slowly, as it looks like Potts may have run out of fuel on that final lap of the race. As it looks like the results, as per usual, don't want to turn up, unfortunately. However, that was an absolute brilliant race there. With the reverse top 12, what will that mean? However, with this 5-minute warm-up that's going on, with the small intermission, we're going to run a short advert and we'll be back very, very shortly for the sprint race here today at the Circuit de Barcelona. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we're just waiting one more minute here for the beginning of the 7-lap sprint race. So with the reverse top 12, that will mean that our winner, Alex Johnson, will be starting all the way back in P12. And second will start in 11th, third will start in 10th, etc. Which will mean 7 laps is not a lot to make your way through the field, which means you may have to rely on other things. However, we know he does have the ultimate pace over the majority of the drivers in the field, so maybe he'll make his way through rather quickly. We'll have to wait and see. However, a couple more seconds of the intermission before we can get our gridding phase for the sprint race, as we'll go through the grid as quickly as possible. So here is your grid for the sprint race here today. So Jeff Schroeder will be starting on pole, Ian Rudd starting second, Victor Solano starting third, Danny O'Keefe starting fourth, Andy Miller starting fifth, Patrick Alston starting sixth, João Cam Flubben starting seventh, Marion Barbaru starting eighth, Frederick Larson starting ninth, Nico Kriegsman starting 10th, James Moller starting 11th, Alex Johnson starting 12th, John Journey 13th, Arturo Mayorga starting 14th, Justin Pasori 15th, Tristan Marshall 16th, Jake Potts 17th, Boyala 18th, Ted Kuman 19th, and Abdul Samad Aliyu starting 20th. And that's all we have time for, unfortunately. Before the beginning of this race, we only have a very, very short intermission time before the race actually starts. So, we switch back. Jeff Schroeder on pole position. He'll be looking to get a good start. Ian Rudd is also on that front row. We will get the better start at the 2. We may see drama. We may see action into turn 1. He will have the better start here today. So, the lights are on. We have 5 red lights. And it's go time for the second time in Circuit de Barcelona. Ian Rudd's also off to a good start. Just Schroeder comes off to cover him off the left-hand side. However, they're too wide. Going into turn 1. They're going 3 wide further back. There's drama. There's collisions at the back. We will have that inside line. Schroeder has the inside line. Schroeder covering him off. Ian Rudd still on the outside, which turns into the inside for turn 3. They're still battling. Rudd is ahead. Schroeder may have a run coming out of turn 3, so it's not over yet, as Solano is also in the mix. He's ducking in behind Schroeder. Will he make the inside line work? Solano gets past Schroeder. Schroeder's down to 3rd place. He's now under battle from Danny O'Keefe as well. Ian Rudd is your leader, followed by Solano and O'Keefe to top 3. And there's a big collision in turn 5. Loads of drivers are involved in that one. Who's been resetting? Kriegsman, Mubanga, they're all involved in that incident there. Loads and loads of different drivers being forced out of this race. James Moller, one of them as well, the 2nd place finisher. However, there's a battle for 3rd place here today. Danny O'Keefe is battling behind Solano. They're back and forth. O'Keefe looks at the inside line. He makes a dive. He has a little bit of space there. However, Solano closes the gap. So your top 5 at the moment: Rudd, Solano, O'Keefe, Miller, and then Johnson, all the way from 12th place. He's made up 7 spots on this first lap in the 196. He has been able to capitalise and stay out of the incidents, which is the most important thing. And he's already up into 5th place. It looks like, who's that? Miller's gone into the grass there behind. Andy Ray Miller's going slowly. Flubman gets past him as well. Weaving all the way down to turn 1. We see the battle for the slightly slower drivers as the quicker drivers are behind them trying to get past. How long will they hold them off? Only 5 laps remain of this race already. As 5 laps is not a long time. Alex Johnson is up into 4th place. He's got past Flubman. It looks like Solano moves to the outside line as Rudd defends the inside line with might. The battle carries on. Victor Solano, he chooses the outside line coming into turn 5. Ian Rudd is able to hold it clean, coming down the hill into turn 6. Hold on a minute. Victor Solano is past Ian Rudd for the lead of the race. I looked off my screen for 0.3 seconds and the lead has changed. Danny O'Keefe and Johnson behind. Johnson moves to the inside into turn 10 and he is passed. Alex Johnson is already up into the podium positions on the end of lap 2 of 7 here today. Solano is blinking out ahead. Alex Johnson has the run. He sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:34.370, which is far quicker than anyone ahead of him has been able to achieve. He's all over the back of Ian Rudd, and Ian Rudd is quite close to Solano as well. So this race could still go Johnson's way as Rudd defends the inside line into turn 3. Johnson uses the outside line, uses all of the track to carry as much speed as possible, and he'll be down the inside into turn 3, or into turn 4, excuse me, as he makes the move stick there. He's up into second place. 1.2 seconds is the gap. It looks like O'Keefe's going to have a look as Metal crunching behind. Who's that out ahead? Looks like, who's that? That's Victor Solano, and he's battling with, I believe that's Jeff Schroeder, who's a lap down there, holding him up massively. The gap is halved. Alex Johnson, 4/10 the gap. Schroeder has done a good job for his teammate and has given him the golden opportunity in this race with 4 laps remaining to try and get past Solano for the lead of the race. He's already over the back of him. We know Johnson has the pace, but will Solano hold it all together and keep him behind as Daniel O'Keefe is falling down the order. He's had a spin into turn 10. Victor Solano will be feeling the pressure here now. Johnson 3/10 behind. If he gets a good exit out of the final corner, he will be all over him into turn 1. Will Solano be able to hold him back? That is the question. He rides on board with Johnson. He's closing and closing and closing. Solano's weaving. Johnson sets another quickest lap of the race, the 1:33.420. Johnson likes to use that inside line in turn 3 quite a lot. He's given him the run now. Will Solano defending once again. Johnson's just a little bit too far back for a move that time by. However, the battle is heating up even more. The battle for first place at the moment. We ride on board with Alex Johnson, who's closing down that number 99, that 196, all over the back of the gearbox of the car in front, trying to get past at any given opportunity, trying to apply as much pressure as physically possible. Solano stays ahead into turn 9. Rounding out the final corner, the gap has stayed the same between our front 2 at the moment. Solano's been setting a great lap time. He's doing a brilliant job out front, holding him back. They're both set times in the 33.1s. Johnson's coming up behind. He has the draft. Will he dive down the inside? The suck is big. He makes the move down the inside of Solano. He's just a little bit too far back. Solano defends well. He carries the speed. However, you can see the rear end snapping all over the place for the number 99. He's vulnerable. Johnson hunting. Solano is the prey. Coming into turn 4 now. Johnson makes a deep dive into turn 4. Once again, Solano defends on that outside line, showing us how to defend from the quickest driver on the grid at the moment. He's matching his pace as Johnson makes another move down the inside turn 5, and there's netco contact. Solano is off the racetrack now. He's in the gravel. He will be devastated. He's done everything he can. He's done a great job to defend, and now he's stuck in the gravel waiting for all the cars to go by. Absolute drama there. There will definitely be some protest, and I'm sure Johnson wouldn't want to give up anything there. He did not want to wait a second to get by, and he now has a 1.5 second advantage to Ian Rudd behind. As we look back, John Nicholas Journey is involved in this battle. Goodnick as well involved as they're battling side by side. Andy Miller's also involved in this one. Andy Miller stays ahead. Goodnext and Journey battling behind. This is the battle for 5th place, ladies and gentlemen, as Frederick Larsen is also coming up behind Ayorto Mayorga. So it looks like he may be able to be close enough even to make a move for 7th place coming down into turn 1. He has the draft, he has the suck. Dives down to the inside line as we go back to our battle. Looks like Journey's going to try and make a move around the outside of Goodnext. Oh, sorry, Miller. He's going to have the draft. Will he dive down the inside? We'll have to wait and see. Is Journey going to go down the inside? No, he doesn't this time by. Miller holding strong out in front on the penultimate lap of this sprint race here today. Circuit of Barcelona putting up a great venue for some great battles here. Barber, after a less fortunate beginning of this race, is now catching up behind Frank Beezer, and he's trying to get these positions. He's in P12 at the moment. This is the battle for P11 on track at the moment. He's going to be sitting behind into turn 8. Overall switch back in front. Looks like Journey's going to move down. He's got to defend. Oh, Goodnext. Miller goes to the outside line. He's having to go. Whoa. Big battles there. Frederick Larsen is involved in this one as well. Larsen, he's side by side with Journey. Journey's off into the gravel. Larsen up into 5th place. So is Goodnext up into 6th. Journey now 7th place. White flag flies as Johnson sets on 1:32.9, quickest lap of the race. Only man in the 32s at the moment. Potts is a 1:33.1. He's not that far back. There's a massive draft train on this final lap of the race now as we look back. Danny O'Keefe is down the inside. Will he be able to make the move stick on Mayorga? Yes, he can. Mayorga falling back. Kriegsmann also getting past. As we look further back, Mayorga, Kriegsmann battling side by side here. This is a battle for 9th place in the final lap of the race. We're going to go back to Jake Potts, who is side by side with Ian Rudd as he dives down the inside. We're riding on board with Jake Potts. He tries to get past. He's quicker than Rudd in pretty much every part of the racetrack. Oh! Ian Rudd makes a mistake on the final lap of the race. Turn 7. He's off into the gravel there. Oh no! And he's not ideal for the number 22 as he's falling down the order. Just as we thought he was over once again, he's not. Do not be fooled. This league throws massive curveballs at the least expected moments. We're on board with Mayorga. Sorry, we're on board with Barber as he attacks Mayorga. Rounds turn 9 into turn 10. Will he go for the inside line? He tries it. Mayorga leaves space. He takes a late apex. Barber does have the exit though. He's all over the rear end. Johnson crosses the line to win the sprint race as well. It's the Grand Slam for Alex Johnson for the 2nd round of the Formula 3 series. Barbaru isn't able to get past your top 5. Johnson, Potts, Miller, Larsen and Goodnext. That final battle on the end there. So tight between all of our drivers, battling, going all across the track. What a brilliant battle, ladies and gentlemen, that was. As they're just waiting now for a final drive to cross the line. As we bring up our final race results, if they choose to work, that is the big question. I do not believe they are. Try it. No, It looks like they're not going to work, so we'll just use a relative here. So Johnson coming home to win the race in first place, followed by Jake Potts, Andy Miller, Larson, and Alex Goodnecht, your top 5. Alex Goodnecht up 22 positions from where he started, all the way up into P5 from P27 in this race for 7 laps. That is a very, very hefty amount of positions to be gaining for the Canadian. Followed by John Nicholas Journey, Danny O'Keefe, Tico Griezmann in 8th place, and Arturo Mayorga finishing in 9th place. Marion Barbary finishing in 10th, followed by Frank Beezer, Jacob Simansky, followed by Jacob Beezer, Victor Solano, Ian Rudd, Jalkin Flutman, Justin Pastori in 17th place, Nick Marshall finishing in 18th at 6 spots from where he started, followed by Ted Kuman, Abdul Samad Alayu finishing 20th place, followed by Cuthbert Mobanga, Patrick Olsen, followed by Randolph Smith, Eric Magnussen, Jeff Schroeder, Paul Ayala, James Moller, followed by Tristan Marshall, and Alberg rounding out your order for the end of this race. Now then, that was such a brilliant sprint race as we saw. I am so, wow. I'm so perplexed on how the racing can be so close here today. Circuit de Barcelona putting up a brilliant fight, as we're just going to get ready for some interviews in just a second here. Before we wait for my drivers to come up here. Here we have our second place man in the feature race, James Moller. Do you hear?
Yeah, we're here. How you doing, Finley?
Doing really good, yeah. Finishing second place in the feature race, such a high there. However, you didn't have the great sprint race, did you?
I was feeling really good in the sprint race for a while. Then I got collected in an accident ahead, so not much I could do. But yeah, we got out really well in the sprint. Just unfortunate. That's the way it goes. Everybody's pushing a little too hard on cold tires, and that's what you're going to get sometimes.
Yeah, that definitely tends to happen with a sprint race because it's only a 7-lap race. Everyone is just so eager to gain those positions and push really hard that you do tend to see more accidents. However, though, can you just take us through what happened in your feature race that gave you such a good result?
Perseverance. We didn't actually put down over at Knox a lot of practice laps this week. It's a track I'm familiar with, so had decent pace. Not as much as we would have liked, but just stuck with it. When we started losing the car, kind of listened to it. Tried to do our best to keep it consistent, even if we were losing a couple tenths here and there a lap to some of the guys behind who were, I think it was Tieco who kept getting up close behind us. But in staying consistent, some of his off laps were just a little bit worse than what my average was. So just kept pushing. It looks like did a good job getting in out of pit lane. I think I made up almost 6 tenths there, which gave me another cushion. Then just absolute chaos coming to the final 2 turns. I couldn't believe that went down the way it did. Looks like lap traffic kind of parked it right on the apex, thinking we'd go around the outside. However, there's just can't really do that at full throttle with somebody behind you. You don't expect somebody to be there. I'm really glad that I was able to finish, and Tieco as well. That would have been heartbreaking for such a battle through 26 laps for us not to have been rewarded, with the podium. So, yeah, it really was perseverance, and being forced to have a tire change in this league helps me. Managing tires, not a strong suit. So getting some new tires on there and running on 3 gallons or 3.5 gallons for those last 10 or 12 laps, it was new life for me. So that really saved my race.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. Before we sign off, though, is there any friends, family, sponsors you'd like to give a good shout out to?
We'll give a shout out to everybody. Everybody at Knox, everybody at Lumos, league owner, Alex Shana, Finley, you, James, East, all the guys over at the broadcast. We appreciate you guys sticking with us and making this, exciting.
Thank you very much. Thank you, James. Hopefully, we'll speak to you next week.
Yep, absolutely. Take it easy, Finley.
You too. That was your second place man in the feature race. Unfortunately, not having a great sprint race, being collected in some incidents. However, the man of the hour, getting a grand slam here today for round 2 of Barcelona, Alex Johnson, the Swedishman, coming home first place in the feature and the sprint and getting the coveted pole position. What a weekend for you.
Yeah, it was very good. I really can't complain. Obviously, race 2 did not end like it should have ended. I'm want to apologize here as well. I'm really sorry, Victor. That was not my intention at all. It was a little bit of netcode. I guess that's what you get with US servers. Hard racing until that point, and that was all cool. But yeah, not the way I wanted it to end. But yeah, double win is, I can't complain. But I would have rather taken P2 if Victor would have won.
Yeah, he was putting up a great fight. It was a brilliant battle. It's a shame it had to end that way. But what is your secret to being so quick at Barcelona?
I really like the track. I've always, ever since it got released, I really liked it, and I've done probably a billion laps, not literally, but a lot of laps.
Yeah.
I remember when I got over 4K I rating, I think I gained like 600 I rating when Barcelona was on that week. So yeah, it's a track I just really like. So when you like the track, you obviously drive a lot on it, and yeah, practice makes perfect. So all in all, good fun. But yeah, again, I'm really sorry, Victor.
Yeah, it is great to see you apologise. Yeah, that's what we like to see. We like to see some good sportsmanship. However, before we sign off, is there any friends, family, sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to?
Of course, thanks to the team and thanks to my personal partners, Alcantech, Almitech, Neiman Racing, and Alcantech NHL. And of course, thanks to you guys again for the broadcast.
Thank you, Alex. Hopefully, we'll speak to you next week. Yeah.
Let's hope so. Have a nice evening.
You too. That was Alex Johnson, the man of the hour here today. We're going to speak with Ian Rudd next. Your sprint race was looking so good there until you had that mistake near to the end. Just take us through what was going on up until that point. Ian Rudd, do you copy?
There, how's that?
Oh, there. No, we can hear you now. Did you hear my question? Do you want to repeat it?
Yeah, no, I did. Thanks. Just wanted to give you some highlights. Keep it interesting.
Yeah, it was a great battle. You were looking there, you're battling for first place and then for third, and then what happened when you dropped out of turn 7?
He was just on me, and I think I just lost focus for that split second and pushed a little hard, got on the throttle a little hard in the corner, and around she went.
Yeah, these Dallara F3 cars can be very, very punishing on the power if you're not kind enough to it, especially with the tire temps as well. It's quite sensitive to them. But yeah, it was a great drive from up until that point. It's a shame it had to end that way. But yeah, is there any shout outs you want to give out? Friends, family, sponsors?
Yeah, no, just it's our first season as the B team, and we're getting on the broadcast, so I think you'll see some more of us. So thanks.
Thank you, Ian. It's been great. Those were your interviews here tonight. Being to Ian Rudd last there, he was going so well in that sprint race until he dropped out of turn 7. Very, very unfortunate from him. Very unfortunate accident. I'm sure he was absolutely gut wrenched when it happened. Let's see if we can get a replay of it. If it came up on the software. Unfortunately, I don't think it has. So unfortunately, I can't pull it up at the moment. However, you can just see how close those battles were between kind of that top 5, the whole kind of sprint race, battles all across the track. On behalf of Team Goon Squad, I'd like to thank you, of course, for watching. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you next week for round 3. We'll see you guys later.